Gravity Days was released in Japan in February 2012. It was renamed to Gravity Rush for its Western release in June of that year. The game was developed by Team Gravity, part of Sony's Japan Studios, and the game was directed by Kenshiro Toyama, who was the creator and director of the original Silent Hill game. After developing Silent Hill, he joined Japan Studios and directed the Siren series of games, before moving on to Gravity Rush. Although it was released just a few months after the Vita's launch, Gravity Rush was actually planned to be a PS3 game. Development started in 2008, but Toyama decided that the Vita would be a better fit for the game, with the tilting to aim mechanics adding to the game's immersion. The game is centered around protagonist Kat, who wakes up in a floating town called Heckersville with all her memories gone. She discovers a mysterious black cat named Dusty that gives her the ability to manipulate gravity, allowing her to walk on any surface, fall in any direction, and throw objects with ease. After saving a boy from being swept up in a gravity storm, Kat learns she can use her new abilities to help protect the people of Heckersville from the monsters that arrived with the gravity storms, called the Nevi. The game follows her journey around Heckersville and into hidden dimensions called Rift Planes, to defeat the Nevi and try to uncover the secrets of her shrouded past. Along the way, she meets another mysterious gravity manipulator named Raven, who begins the game as Kat's enemy, but later helps her in battling the Nevi. Players could control Kat by letting her walk and jump around the town, but the real fun came in experiencing Kat's flying. At the start of the game, Kat's abilities are limited and she's only able to fly for a short amount of time. After beating Nevi, players earn jewels that were used to upgrade Kat's abilities. Over the course of the game, Kat can become very powerful, able to stay in the air and travel great distances at speed. Part of the enjoyment of the game was being able to just fly around, finding jewels and exploring above and below the town. Controlling Kat was straightforward, with the right trigger used to lift off the ground and fly to a target. The left trigger returned gravity to normal, causing Kat to fall. Battling the Nevi could be done through melee attacks on the ground, lifting items with Kat's gravity powers and tossing them, flying into the sky and barreling towards enemies with a devastating gravity kick, or using one of Kat's special abilities to attack multiple enemies at once. The gravity kick in particular was Kat's most useful attack. It was powerful and fast and could kill many of the basic enemies with one hit. It was also, however, a source of criticism for the game. Once the player had chosen an enemy to attack, the player could hit square to fly towards them. The target could be adjusted using the Vita's gyroscope controls, but due to the speed of the attack and some enemies being able to move out of the way at the last second, there were many times when the player would fly past the enemy. Stopping, turning around and re-aiming and potentially missing again was a source of frustration for many players and reviewers. Battles with flying enemies could at times feel more annoying than fun. Kat's bubbly and optimistic personality gave the game a light-hearted feel. With so many games are dark and gritty, Gravity Rush was more about letting the player have fun with being a superhero. The story unfolds through comic book-style cutscenes which suited the charming feel of the game. Gravity Rush had many mysteries, and Kat's amnesia gave players the feeling that they were learning about the world and its characters along with Kat. It was an open world game, and once you had upgraded Kat's abilities enough, you could fly freely between the world's 3 districts with ease. It wasn't a particularly big map, but each district had its own distinct design and music, ranging from steampunk to gothic. Players could explore the areas for jewels littered above and below the towns, or could complete optional challenge missions. The challenges ranged from flying around districts, hitting checkpoints in time trials, fighting Nevi, carrying civilians to safety, or sliding races. The missions could be quite tricky to complete, especially without having all the correct upgrades. The challenge missions and exploration were fun distractions and added to the longevity of the game. The cel-shaded anime graphics looked very impressive on the Vita. Even years after its release, it's still one of the Vita's best-looking games. Studio Japan had truly created a unique and beautiful world to explore. The game reviewed well, sitting at 83% on Metacritic, which made it the 5th highest rated Vita game at the time it was launched. Currently, it sits in the top 40 of Vita games on Metacritic. Reviewers praised the game's world, graphics, gameplay, and Kat's personality. Criticisms focused on the disorientation during battles caused by the camera and the confusing story with mysteries unresolved even after the game had been finished. The Japanese gaming magazine Famitsu scored the game an extremely positive 38 out of 40. However, the high review scores didn't translate to sales. Gravity Rush sold just 43,000 copies in the week of its release and took 2 months to reach 100,000 sales in Japan. Granted, these sales figures did not include digital downloads, but it was perceived as another sales disappointment for the Vita. Its release in Japan also didn't result in an increase in sales of Vita units. In September 2012, just months after the game's release, Toyama stated that he wanted to make a sequel and hinted that it was going to be announced imminently. The sequel was teased the following year, with a full announcement in 2014 at the Tokyo Game Show. However, to the dismay of Vita fans, it was revealed that Gravity Rush 2 would only be released on the PlayStation 4. By 2014, Sony had pretty much given up on developing games for the Vita, and making Gravity Rush 2 a PS4 exclusive was just another indication of that. In February 2016, Gravity Rush Remastered was released on the PS4, an HD upgrade of the original game. After being on sale for 5 months, Sony began giving Gravity Rush on the Vita to PS Plus subscribers in November 2012 as part of its instant game collection. It remained free to PS Plus subscribers until June 2014. While it was a sensible move for Sony to give away one of the Vita's flagship titles to new Vita owners, and as an incentive to sign up to PS Plus, some fans did find it annoying that having supported the game by buying it on release, it was now being given away for free. In Gravity Rush, Sony had created a new and unique game for the Vita. It gave Vita owners hope for the handheld's potential future, which made it even more disappointing they wouldn't be able to continue Cat's journey on the handheld, which is where it belonged. Gravity Rush 2 was released in January 2017 to positive reviews, but disappointing sales. It reportedly sold far less than Gravity Rush on the Vita. Perhaps if the sequel had been on Vita, the game would have sold better, since it already had a market of players who had bought the game or played it on PS Plus. But unfortunately, that was the last we'd seen of the Gravity Rush franchise. Since then, Japan's studio has been closed, and there's been no more mention of Gravity Rush by Sony. Let me know, guys, did you play Gravity Rush and what did you think of it? Leave a comment below, and as always, thanks for watching.